Hey ladies, hey! I'm by myself for a little while in the car. Thought I'd purge it out. So I was all frustrated this morning because my daughter didn't cooperate with the plans that I had made for us today, which was to go to the library so she could do so we could do story time, and then there was like a craft at 11. So 10 a.m. story time, 11 a.m. craft. Mix with other moms, maybe have some conversations with other adults, and have her play with kids, right? Because she's so amazing at playing with her imaginary friends, and she creates all these worlds for herself. It's beautiful. And I thought she would want to play with real people, with real other kids. So I was like, we're gonna go. We got to bed early last night, like everything went smoothly. We got up. Yeah, she's wanting. She brushed her hair, she brushed her teeth. Time to put on clothes. Homie did not want to put on any clothes. She only wanted to put on a sweater and shoes, no pants. And I was like, well, we can't go out like that, and I'm not gonna fight with you about putting clothes on. So if you want to go do this, it's for you. Let's go do this. Well, she didn't want to, and that was her choice. So we just stayed in. But now she's like, play with me. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do some work. So I'm like, all right. I did my morning stuff, right? I did not wake up at the time that I wanted to be up by 5. I did not wake up by 5. Which is interesting, because when I don't want to be up by 5, I'm up at 5. But when I'm like, okay, new schedule, new way of being Sparta, 5 to 9 a.m. is going to be my work day. And then I'm free for the rest of the day to just mom it out. Well, no, that hasn't been happening, which I think is hilarious. But I did have enough time to run through some of my business buying course, and I was able to do some of my exercises while I was listening to the business buying course, and I got some stuff done. And I was like, okay, well, since we're not going to the library, what else? What else could I do today? And I really felt like I was forcing it. I was like, oh, well, let me start making some 3 to 5 minute mommy meditations. So I'm typing that up, and I don't know, there was just it wasn't a flow. It wasn't a inspired action flow. It was all right, I need to do something actively to move along this, me creating more income for myself. And it wasn't feeling so great. So I was like, all right, let me walk away from that. And I'm just in my head, right? Watching myself, argue with myself about what I need to be doing, and how really I just need to relax, because nothing's wrong, everything is fine, everything is going according to plan, I'm just on time, and it's just me not knowing how to be, basically. I don't know how to just be, how to just, I get the visual of people sitting on the porch before all this technology and the Industrial Revolution and all of that, and how they just sat on the porch and sipped on their tea, and they just were being, right? There was not all this noise and information, and people just knew how to just chill and be. I don't know how to do that. I'm always feeling like I need to do something. I don't even know how to play. I don't know how to play with my kid. It's hilarious, really. So I'm finishing up my laundry. I was like, since I'm here, my house should look spotless because I'm here. So what else am I doing? So I get to more cleaning and more organizing, and I hadn't finished the I had a couple more pieces of laundry to fold that I didn't finish. So I'm getting to that, and my best friend calls me, and she's like, what up, bitch? How's your plan of taking over the world going? And I was like, dude, slow. I'm struggling with my instant gratification. I'm struggling with feeling like I'm not doing enough, and all right, well, what's next to do? I did all the things I was supposed to do. I did my morning kriya. I did my morning meditation. I did my exercise. Like, I did all the things. Sarai doesn't want to go to do the thing, right? And I'm complaining. And then one of the things that I'm doing actively to earn income and to have an offering is going to sell life insurance policies, but not like your regular schmegular life insurance policies. These life insurance policies have cash value that you can use now while you're alive, and not in IUL, because I looked into the index universal life funds, not those, because those you have to wait till you turn a certain age to be able to use them, and you can only use a certain percentage of them. No, like, this is like the golden egg of life insurance policies, where you can use up to 90% now. So and you, like, essentially could become your own bank and create your own family bank and whatever. It's a whole thing, right? So the guy that he's been offering me a job with him for like 2 years now, and I'm always like, man, I don't know. Well, now I know, and I'm like, okay. So he calls, right? I'm sorry, this thing is just gonna keep twisting, and it's really annoying me, but it is what it is. So he calls, and I'm like, hey, Hetty, I'm gonna call you back. And our meeting was set up for Thursday, but he's like, hey, I see that we have a meeting set up. Like, we don't have to wait till Thursday. Like, let's chat today. Like, I know you, I know your heart. I know that we want you on the team. Like, I've been inviting you. So, and I got to voice my insecurities. No, I haven't worked anywhere in like 20 something years. I've had like little gigs here and there. I was like production supervisor for a couple years, but that was like volunteer work. Most of my work has been like volunteer work. I haven't really like worked. So I'm like, I don't have any work experience. Like, I kind of feel like lost in this all. I have nothing to like beef up a resume or anything like that. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Like, don't worry about any of that. Like, you don't need any of that. Actually, like, not knowing, having beginner mind is gonna like work in your favor right now. And he's like, I know your heart. Like, I know that you care about people and that you want to help people, and like, that's really all you need. That's like the requirement. And I was like, amazing, because I do want to help people. And like I was saying, I think yesterday, a life that would be exciting would be something that has nothing to do with me, when it's about helping other people. Even, people don't need help, but yeah. So this was the part that I was like, oh my god, it's so meant to be. So we're hanging up the phone. He's like, all right, so let's talk at 4 o'clock. And I was like, cool, 4 o'clock. He's like, all right, I'll call you and we'll talk about how we're going to take over the world together. And I was just like, psh, because that's what Angelica had just said to me. She was like, so how's it going taking over the world? How's your plan with taking over the world? So it was stupid, right? It's synchronistic. It doesn't really mean anything, and it means everything, right? Like, that's the divine paradox of living in this universe. Also, I fell asleep listening to this super like old book from like 1925 or something crazy like that, and it's like about the spiritual laws. And I was like, oh, like, now I'm just gonna say this, but it's not new information, right? Like, there's nothing new under the sun, and things have just been being regurgitated and repeated and regurgitated and repeated, and like, that's the beauty of it all. So I was like, oh, I actually want to like break down this book in today's language, and today's language for my demographic, if that makes sense. So like, how can I say this where the hood understands? Not that the hood is my demographic, because I never actually grew up in the hood, but lingo wise, right? I was like, that would be really cool and kind of fun. Like, and my brother and I, we always joke, right? Because like, we grew up in Long Beach, we did not grow up in the hood, but there's elements of like being from the 80s babies in New York, right? The origination of hip hop and this whole street culture. And a lot of the street culture stems from like the jail cultures. And my brother has been in jail a lot. So he, you know, he always kind of puts me on to like, what's the word, or what's the math of the day, or he'll call me at night, he's like, what up, goddess, what's the science? And I'm like, oh my god, Danny, like, I don't know, it's an ongoing joke that he's like, I think I'm white and he thinks he's black, we're Hispanic, we're just brown people, first generation American. So kind of like figuring out what our culture is, right? It was a little confusing to be in a melting pot like New York, where we're called the minority, but we're actually the majority. Some people don't treat us like we're different in skin color, and some people do. Like, it was just an interesting time. So the 80s hip-hop culture, kind of, we embraced that as our culture. Anyway, so now I went off on a tangent. I'm like, what the fuck was that about? Oh, rewriting this book. So I want to ask, I'm going to collaborate with my brother. Like, how could we break all these spiritual laws down in like a lingo that can be fun? And yeah, so that was another thing that I was thinking about creating. I think I'm a little ADD, ADHD, because my brain just is always like, oh, we could do this and we could do that, and don't forget this and don't forget that, and remember over here and remember over there, and oh, we should do this, and let's finish this up, and I'm, you know, always hopping around everywhere. And I get super, super bored when things move slow. So I was literally like dying when Sarai didn't want to go to the library, and I'm like, oh my god, so we're just gonna sit here and play, and I don't want to play, and yeah, I was like, Jason, please come. Jason's great at sitting there and playing. He could sit there and play with her for hours. And when these vloggers, these families that make videos of playing with their kids 24/7, you guys are setting us up, guys. Like, it's a setup, because now kids think that like that's all parents do. That's all parents want to do, is sit around and play with their kids. And maybe some parents do, and God bless those parents. Jason is one of those parents. Jason will Fred Rogers all day long. He should be the primary caretaker, because like, and believe you me, when I create enough income monthly where I can just pay him to, like, well, by then she'll be in school, but you know what I'm saying. Like, if I had it like that, I would just take care of everything and pay him a nice salary for just staying with the baby so that I could do the things I want to do when I want to do them. Anyways. Bring it back down now that I purged that out. I'm trying to remember what the lesson for today was in the book. I know in the school, we're practicing pricing, like figuring out if you have a product and what you're pricing it for. And I don't have a product yet, so I'm not really in that phase. So I was focused more on the lesson of the day, but now I don't even remember what the lesson was. Ain't that something? Yeah, as I was driving, there's this word that the Muslims use, and I just kept hearing the word that the Muslims use to describe humans, and in, I think it's Arabic, it's like forgetful. Like, humans are just forgetful. That's how they name them. And I feel like I am definitely that. Like, I am super forgetful. I have these epiphanies where I like think I get something. I'm like, oh my god, yes, and it's so amazing, and then I forget, and I fall back into the same pattern, the same drudgery. At least it looks the same, or it feels the same, even though it's never quite the same. until I have the same epiphany again. And I'm so glad I have these like videos, right? Because I'm like, oh, I knew this in 2016 and I fell asleep and forgot again. And now I get to remember again. But I know we were still disassociating from the mind and thoughts, and that was part of the lesson, is like looking at a meaningless world and being aware that I'm adding all the meaning to everything, and that it's just a practice. So I will continue to be observant of myself and practice and take the steps and purge when needed, as needed. And God knows I need to purge every day, because I always got some shit to say or to talk about. And you're welcome to purge with me too. I really do enjoy the interactions. And today, one of my friends that watch sent me a message thanking me, and I cried, because sometimes I feel stupid for doing this, and she just kind of gave me the confirmation, validation I was needing to keep on keeping on. Because it doesn't have to be huge. I don't have to change the world. I don't have to. That's the other thing. I always feel like this pressure to get on here to say something meaningful, because I've decided that it needs to be meaningful. Like, instead of it just being bullshit, like, I don't want to waste anyone's time, or people don't really want to hear that. Like, it's my video diary. I could just talk about whatever, right? It doesn't have to be meaningful. I don't have to have a lesson in it. I don't have to have a message in it. I could just be. I could just practice being. And that's enough. And that will wrap it up. At some point, the idea is to transfer these purges to my TikTok account, or to my YouTube account, or to my Instagram account. At some point. Today is not that day. Alright, I'm going in the bank. I'm gonna finish running my errands, have this conversation with Derek about selling life insurance, and see where it goes from there. See what happens from there. Bye.